So, we are at part 13, I believe. So we've just done the drop, and what I've started to do is I'm just adding in some photos to make it actually real. So here's me in the 206, and yeah, it's as real as real. So we were heading back to Canada after dropping off the 4 bags of cabbage. Somebody said that I've got to be a little more specific with what it is. I think we can all agree with, everyone knows what it is. If you don't, then text me or DM me and I'll tell you exactly what it was. So we flew the cabbage down, and obviously we had all that drama in dropping it off. And we were on the way back. So something about it, I picked a different route to go back. And if I can say that the feeling that I had was euphoric, me and my co-pilot started singing Sweet Home Alabama, and we were just on top of the world. I can't describe the feeling. It wasn't so much the money. It was, looking back, it was just the fact that out of all this trials and tribulations, I managed to get it done, and that's what it was all about. So on the way back, a lot of fun. We still had to deal with the weather, and I didn't want to go through that same spot. So what we actually did is skirted around the weather. I knew exactly which corridor it was at, because the mountains actually sort of push the wind in on those windy days, and it's like a funnel. So I swept out and took a different way home, and there wasn't as much wind in that. So coming home, no problems at all. Crossed the border, and we basically just flew straight to the airport. And you've got to understand that airport is very, very close to the US border, and like I said, there was no traffic because it was still in the morning, and we just had a direct flight, crossed the runway, and just came straight in and put it down on one of the helipads. And we've got these wheels that you jack the helicopter up. I don't know, you can't really see, but it's on the back there. And you crank the helicopter, and you can just grab it by the tail and push it in. And that's what we did. We put it in the hangar. It was just a single hangar, it just barely fit point to point. And jumped in my truck and started making the track from Chilliwack back into Vancouver, which is around 80 kilometers. I think it's about 80 kilometers into town. So we went into town. Obviously, lots of phone calls are getting made, and I believe we went to the casino that morning. It's really funny now. I can understand why people gamble, is because when you do things like that, the adrenaline that you get from it and trying to come down, it's incredibly tough. So I'm still living a pretty normal life. I wasn't doing construction anymore, but I was definitely bartending. And I hadn't been paid yet. So payday, I dropped my partner off at home at his place, and I went back. I was living in a high-rise in Vancouver. I believe I was on the 19th floor. And it was crazy. And I just sat around. There was lots of phone calls going backwards and forwards all day until the money got dropped off. I believe the money got dropped off in the afternoon, about 2:00, and it was all connected. I think the first payday was somewhere around $30,000, maybe $40,000 for that trip. And the really weird thing about it is you get paid in $20 bills, because it's just the way it is. There's a couple of interesting factors about that world. the larger the bill, the less you get. The smaller the bill, you'll get the same. $5 and $10 bills, you'll want more. Because nobody can get rid of them, especially when you're talking about anywhere from, say, $20,000, $40,000 up to $100,000 for a trip. So a shoebox, a normal size shoebox in $20 bills holds about $20,000. And so I had multiple shoe boxes, got dropped off to my apartment, I went downstairs, picked it up. You know, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for essentially at that point when it's all come together for one day's work or for a couple of hours work. I remember I was pretty excited about it, and so I sat and looked at it for a while, and I thought I'm gonna go spend some money. So what I did was I decided I was going to go to the casino and I was going to take $5,000. At that time I really enjoyed playing blackjack, so I was going to take $5,000 and play blackjack. And if I lost, I lost. It was no big deal. I still had, I think, $40,000. But I remember going in that evening and playing, like, I got a table, you know, by myself. It was a very small casino. It wasn't a big casino like you see. It was below the Sandman Hotel over on Grandview Highway. And so I was just there by myself playing blackjack. And funny thing about blackjack, when you're hot, and when you're not, you're not. Well, I just actually wanted to lose money that day, and I sat down and I was playing 4 hands, and I was playing about $100 a hand. And no matter what I did, I couldn't lose. It was crazy. And my $5,000, I think, turned into about $11,000 really quickly, or 13, somewhere like that. And I just looked at it and thought, am I just going to blow this money? And I couldn't just sit there and play it into the ground. So I got up and left. And I thought, okay, now I've got more money than I started with. And when you're trying to spend money to enjoy it, I've got more than I started with. So I thought, okay, I know some people don't know. So I thought I would go see some dancers. Let's say that. And I went to this place that I used to go with my co-pilot to watch and some dancers. And I got there, and it was really funny. I sat down, and they said, "Oh, by the way, it's last call for beers." So I think I paid $100 for a beer, and I left there. What I end up doing with all that money and all that time is I end up finding a pizza place that was open, grabbed a pizza and went home, watched TV and sat with my dogs and just looked at the boxes of money sitting on the table. And that was day one of this crazy, crazy ride. Stay tuned. It gets better.